All right, that's great. We have just started the recording of our brand new podcast, Break a Leg,
Yes.
with me, your host, Gabriel Im, and my co host, Jaden Shah. And today, on
Hello.
our first episode, on our pilot, we actually have a very special guest with us today, Bedok South's very own team captain, football team captain, Jaden Low.
Yeah. Hi. Um, Name's Jaden and 15 this year. And one thing about me is that I get nervous for whatever reason it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why, but that's just how it is.
Right, right.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm?
So I think, just to get the ball rolling for us, Jada, why don't you tell us a bit more about, your interests, maybe who you are as a person, maybe a bit more in depth for what you just said.
Uh, Interests. I have a few interests, but one of them is definitely football as well.
Right.
Um, like it's pretty much been the sport of my life, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Just grow up. I grew up watching football as well. Yeah, since the very first time I started watching football, I've just been pretty much almost addicted to it, you
Mm-hmm.
could say,
Mm-hmm.
in a way
Hmm.
that I wouldn't be interested in like any other sport besides football.
I see.
I think what how I would describe myself as a person is that I consider myself to be hardworking as well. Like
Right.
Hmm.
just trying to um put in continued effort into whatever that I do as well.
Mm. I see.
Okay.
All right. Then in that case, why don't you tell us your story? How you wound up, coming to Bedok South, how you even wound up becoming the captain and whatnot for like your soccer team. Why don't you just take us from the start and from there, let us know how it all happened.
Uh, it goes all the way back to 2021 when I was in P6. So then somewhere around this period of time that year I um applied for DSA, and so the three schools that I applied for DSA were Pasir Ris, Meridian, and also Bedok South. However, Bedok
Hmm.
South was my third choice school. Pasir Ris was my first choice school and Meridian was my second.
Mhm.
However, I somehow did not get accepted into any of the first two choice schools, which led me to be here as well. And even so, I am just happy to be part of Bedok South as well.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
Sorry. So during your, you mentioned that like you didn't get your first two choices for your DSA. So how did it really make you feel? Like I'm guessing like these two schools were really what you really wanted to get there, and then you got Bedok South instead. So like, how did it make you feel?
Uh, I think it honestly didn't really make me feel that disappointed, knowing that they have really high standards as well, not just in terms of um the academics, but also in terms of football as well, because that was my DSA category as well.
Hmm.
So and Pasir Ris and Meridian are well known for football as well.
Hmm.
They which leads back to the high standards as well that come with them.
Right.
Hmm. Okay.
Actually, one of the key things that a lot, but what not a lot of people know this about you. But if I'm not wrong, you do actually suffer from you actually do suffer from like the autism spectrum disorder, ASD for short, right? And so maybe for people who may not be aware of what autism does to somebody, like maybe the both of us, right? Maybe could you tell us or like the people watching this, like what autism has, how autism has impacted you in particular, and maybe how you've had some struggles with it, like along like in your life and stuff like that.
I personally feel that whenever people describe autism as a yaya type of thing, right,
Mm-hmm.
or something that just makes you go crazy, I
Right.
just feel quite offended as well because
Mm.
that isn't what autism really is.
Yeah.
Because autism actually is like something that can affect like social skills. Like let's say when you're outside having a conversation or basically anything that has to do with using social skills as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I see.
So
So,
okay, during your having like have during your time in like Bedok South, do you have was there ever times where you felt like your condition really like how's it like really like impacted the way you did things or like how people like perceived you like how did it like make you feel? Were you offended? Were you like how do you feel about it?
It did not really have a huge toll on me in terms of uh, my identity in school.
mhm,
Because normally not a lot of people tend to look down at me. Like
Mm,
especially because I only have a level one of ASD that doesn't really affect me. So it doesn't really sort of it's not that severe to create some sort of identity as autistic in a way that just perceives you as crazy, stuff like that.
right.
So I
Okay.
wasn't really looked down as a person in school.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that I was really able to socialize well with my friends, my classmates, even some teachers as well.
Mm, I see. The thing is, having these conditions, especially like in your case, a lot of people uh we think that having these conditions are just just segregate you from it, like everybody else, right? I mean, this is something that I myself can relate to, like, because I myself, as someone who has like cerebral palsy, I use crutches to walk and whatnot. But the thing is about me, it's very visible, it's very apparent that I have it, right, because of my crutches. But for maybe say, other people who have this like misconception that, you know, mental conditions or maybe like autism, would you say that they would you say that they are like not as recognized as compared to say like the more severe like impairments, like physical impairments? Or would you say that
Sorry,
it's
could you repeat your question?
okay, so do you think that mental mental conditions like autism, right? Something that impacts someone like more emotionally or mentally. Do you think it do you think it's being under recognized? Or do you think that it's um like recognized by society at large?
I think that some mental disabilities are not that recognized. There are, there are some that can be easily recognized, but there are still a lot of people out there that aren't really aware about, let's say, what it is and what it does to the human body or to
Mhm.
that person.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think to there's something that needs to be done to raise awareness about these mental disabilities.
right, right. Thanks so much for that. Mm, you know, let's shift away from your um like your autism now, and let's maybe shift more a bit more to your time as being a footballer for Bedok South. How has the I mean, you're, eh, no, you're sec three. So how has the past 3 years of like being in football like impacted you thus far? Maybe how has it like changed you, mentally, emotionally, physically, or whatnot? How has it, like, what kind of values has it instilled in you? Could you maybe share a bit more? Because I think
I
for,
think,
wait, my bad. Like,
but
because
I
I think for a lot of people, right, my bad, there is, people don't really understand like the ins and outs of being like a football player, right? Especially for like a school and whatnot. So I think maybe you could share with us a bit more about that as well.
I think the first, say, 1 or 1.5 years has been really shaky for me, especially when you're going from one level of football to another.
Mm-hmm.
One is softer, one is harder, more which has more aggression, more um fast paced as well.
Right.
So in so moving from that casual type of football to uh, the kind of football you get in secondary school, it was really hard to adapt for me as well,
Mm-hmm.
especially with some of the seniors not really being that nice.
Right.
I get called out. Let's say I used to get called out almost every training session back
Right.
in Set One, and given the fact that I wasn't even called up for NSG was really demotivating as well.
Mm.
Cause but however, I think not being called up for NSG that year also really helped me to change a lot as well, and especially receiving some of the insults from fellow seniors as well really changed my game. Just helped
Right.
me to adapt faster as well. Cause it really got me thinking, how am I going to be able to to have a relationship with these teammates? How am I able to play according to their style? How am I gonna play at a faster rate?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's when I got to work. I started putting extra hours in before training sessions and even after as well. And even up to now, I still do that. I come to training half an hour before and I stay back half an hour after the session as well.
Okay.
Before mid year, there was this time when I was in Set 1 and a time when we just um got knocked out of this year's quarterfinals in League Two.
Right.
There, there was this one coach that still supported me,
Mm-hmm.
Coach Vedas
Ah.
as well. Um, I mean now that he's gone, it's kind of sad,
Right.
especially knowing that he was there for me even when I didn't feel very treated properly in training as well. Every time he would continue to push me as well. If if I didn't make that pass, if I played lazily, he would get me to do stuff like run the length of the pitch or to push up, stuff like that. And um when it got really tough, he was still there for me as well. Yeah. I think fast forward to around sec two, that's that's when I got my first call up financially and I felt really accomplished um after that 1 year just sitting back and knowing that now I can actually make an impact which can also um change the school's reputation and improve it as well. Now
Mm.
it just makes me feel happy.
Right. Right.
Even though we didn't get the results we wanted at the end of that season, it still made me feel very accomplished as well. being able to get in minutes as well, make crucial passes as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I mean, even now, um, now even with a different coach in the form of Coach Raihan, um, there's still this sort of pushing factor,
Mhm.
the one that really makes you stay at the top of your game. And if and I find that there is one thing common between both of the coaches, that being once again being that pushing factor. If you if you don't play according to their standards, they will punish you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
okay, I do have a question. So you mentioned that your coaches do play a big part in your in where you're at currently for soccer, like there. But is there anyone else that also inspires you as a role model, whether it be in doing everyday tasks or like family members? Is there anyone that inspires you?
I think that there were a few people that really inspired me. The one and a few teammates that really pushed me to limits as well. Um, yeah, and knowing that I have them is like it's like a blessing, you know.
Mm.
Just being and to I mean sometimes there can be tension between some of us, but at the end of the day, we still push each other to performing better on the pitch and also off the pitch as well.
Right.
Oh, that's good.
Mm. Other than maybe just your teammates or maybe like your coaches, is there is there anything else, you know, that you use to keep yourself going? Because I can imagine that, being a soccer player, like especially at your level, school team, you've competed with a lot of the top schools like Victoria, you've probably competed with like I think if I'm not wrong, like VS, AHS, you've competed with all these kind of um quote unquote elite schools, especially in like in the aspect of soccer, right? So what, other than maybe just your coach or coaches or like your teammates, is there has there been anything or anyone else that has kept you going or maybe inspires you to keep going?
Uh, I mean, there is one thing, however, that I would like to put in, if um, which may seem unrelated at first, irrelevant at first,
Yeah.
but as which with that being the toxic environment within the team as well.
Okay.
Sometimes when you make a lot of mistakes, they will scold you. They will just make you feel humiliated
Mhm.
in front of the whole team as well, and in front of maybe even some of your beloved friends as well.
Yeah.
And I had this thought in mind, which was like, just don't get humiliated.
Mhm.
Just play well, so that this doesn't happen to you. And yeah, I mean, even especially during my first year, my family really supported me emotionally and physically as well. So, and I really am grateful for having them. Yeah.
Right. You know, I couldn't help but wonder, like, you brought out a lot about like mm, growing up in I'm not saying growing up, but more you've been conditioned in an environment which from what you're saying, it sounds very unforgiving, right? I mean, of course, it's understandable, of course, like, when you're in a sport full of guys, it's bound to be very I wouldn't use the word toxic, but I would say it's bound to be very cutthroat, lah. right? Everybody is vying to be the top guy. You know, no one wants to be at the bottom of the pyramid, right? So the thing is that for a lot of people, I think a lot of athletes, you know, they suffer from like burnout. Would you say that, you know, as a whole, that there is support for maybe for you and maybe your teammates when you guys like suffer a loss, or maybe a way for you guys to bounce back? Has there been any support that's been given?
Sorry?
Has there been like support given for like, would you say that there's enough support to like back you guys up even when you guys are like facing difficulties, a lot of loss and things like that? Like a lot of losses. Sorry.
Currently, right now, we're not at that state where we need support, that much support. Because we haven't been losing quite a lot of games. I mean, as emotionally, let's say after we get knocked out of the quarterfinals, for example, this year, um, of course, some of us were crying, stuff like that. But and even some of my teammates, family members were also there at the match as well. And for me, right, I feel that it also just saddens me to like see all my teammates crying and stuff, which sort of which is sort of because of that chemistry that we've built all along throughout the season, or like even the past few years as well. So even though I may not like some of the teammates, there's still this chemistry between us. That's
Mm,
what keeps us going.
That's good. That's good.
that's great.
Well, you've mentioned a lot of like the like how to say your football journey, especially like in secondary school and primary school. But do you think there was like, I understand you put a lot of effort and time towards football. So was there any like significant event or events that like in your football journey that made you feel like your efforts were paid off?
Not really. I mean, there was only one moment where I was training with the Sec 3s then, back in 2022. That was when I was in Sec 1.
Mm.
And in that training session, we were playing a small match, small scrimmage, and somehow I managed to score 4 goals
Ah, okay.
within like a short span of time. And that was really the moment that ignited this sort of passion in me, to like just keep going, keep working hard. Yeah. And I didn't even know how I managed to pull it off, but yeah,
Uh,
I was like, at the end of the session, I was quite surprised with how I managed to perform that session. Yeah.
Right.
okay.
Okay. I mean, you know, you've definitely, I think you've had a very eventful tenure as you know, serving your team. And you know, has there been like a specific match that you recall playing in, or even like witnessing, that you know really inspired you to like maybe do better, or anything like that?
Sorry?
Has there been like a specific match where, like, which you've played in, right? Because I can imagine that you've gotten your fair share of time on the field against a very diverse set of opponents, right? And so, has there ever been a match like that to you like stands out? You know, maybe your performance or whatnot, your experience.
There's only been one match that really stood out to me in terms of performance, with that friendly against DJC this year. Managed to beat them 3-1, especially on their home turf as well, which sounds pretty nice as well, because especially because I managed to score two against them as well. And that's the first time I've ever scored two against any opponent in a single match.
Right.
I mean, at the end, I'm still hungry for more. I
Right.
feel that I did not perform to my absolute best. I had a fair share of chances, but um, however, they managed to just convert some of them. Other than that, there hasn't really been a lot of matches that stood out to me, but so I also like playing against VS as well, Victoria. Not just because of the quality that they have, but it's also because of their build-up play as well,
Right.
and the amount of stamina that they have is insane.
Yeah, I think I've seen that play as well because I've seen those matches as well. But I think shifting away from maybe the soccer side, maybe because we've spoken extensively at length about your time uh being on the soccer team and whatnot. So I think one of the questions that I've personally been wanting to ask you for a very long time is whether or not you personally believe that Singapore as a whole is doing enough for people with special needs like you.
Uh, I mean that there are already some initiatives set up for to raise awareness for people with mental disabilities. With one of them being the Purple Parade, which
Right.
I am usually really passionate every year. And I think even though that there is more that could be done, I feel that there is already a fair share of initiatives and stuff that are already set up to raise awareness.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Mm. I think, you know, my own take is that, there could be a lot more that could be done as well, right? Like for example, maybe you and I can both agree that there should be more integration, for people with like special needs, for them to like be able to um for them to be like able to experience uh life normally lah, like having more ways for them to get into mainstream schools and things like that, so it's not just specifically schools like Pathlight who there has a PSLE program for you to just get into a mainstream school, but at the same time the other route that a lot of people take is pulling out their a lot getting themselves out of like a special school, which is what my own personal route, right? I left CPAS and then I went to Temasek Primary, then I took my PSLE, and that's how I wound up here, lah, right? So the thing is, doing that is evidently it's a very jarring journey, lah. Because it's like your environment shifts immediately. It's like a whiplash, right? Because it's like it's all of a sudden it's just boom, I'm in a different place. But you know, I think from my own experience as well, it's been quite interesting to see that also there's a lot of emphasis on people with like disabilities, particularly in our school, because our principal, Mr. Daryl Cole, is someone that is very inspired by all of us apparently, but according to what he said, because I've interviewed him just recently as well. But the thing is that, do you think with everything that has been done thus far in Murdoch South, do you think that it's been able to uh help help maybe yourself out personally, like cope with the cope with like school and whatnot? Because I can imagine that it's quite difficult as well, lah. Yeah.
Come again?
I can imagine it's quite difficult, lah, that for you to be able to cope with like mainstream school, studying for O levels, but at the same time having to juggle all your responsibilities. So do you think that the school or like maybe our school is doing enough in that aspect to help you out?
I mean, what I can say that is that um even though I managed to make connections with friends and stuff and with other people, it's still hard for me to do like certain things,
Right.
especially especially let's say if I'm talking to someone that I don't recognize,
Hmm.
or like ask someone for something, it's just really hard.
Yeah, I can imagine lah. I mean, but has there maybe been any support that you've been given over the years? Maybe like by our school that has helped you to maybe overcome these things a little bit?
Yeah, back in Sec 1, I met this health officer um who I feel that has been really supporting me
Hmm.
um ev- ever since I stepped into Bedok South. And yeah, we would just normally check up on each other as well, and it's it's just I just feel really grateful to have her in my life, knowing that whenever I don't really feel comfortable in class, I can always reach out to her.
Right, right. Mm, would you say that our school, uh, promotes diversity, like in terms of the student population, like maybe in terms of integrating people with special needs into our school so that they interact with like able-bodied people and whatnot? Do you think that's been going well?
I feel that the school is quite diverse, especially with like integrating people with special needs into the
Yeah,
school. I find that really interesting as well. Um, but I feel that it isn't that diverse to a high extent as well.
okay. Oh, very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah. Why you say that?
cause cause it's right, it, cause it's not really like the school background from outside. You may think it's quite welcoming, but like very very welcoming. But
Hmm.
when you step in, it may not really be that welcoming
Right.
because there can be some toxic people or like just people that don't really seem to treat people with special needs nice as well.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you can't really blame them either because they've not really seen people like us before, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm
That's
not surprised.
that's
Like,
understandable.
yeah, but
Me, I think the reason they do that is I won't say it's because like they are generally like they're not like disgust or anything, but it's just that it's an unfamiliar thing for them because like it's not every day they see people with these type of conditions. They may not know what's the appropriate response. So like
I think it's
yeah,
very true.
yeah. So I
I
think
think
yeah.
at the end of the day, we are still people. We are still human beings that I believe um God created us to be.
Hmm. Right.
Like, yeah. So no matter whether um there's a blind person, for example, or someone with autism as well, or even just someone without any mental disability. At the end of the day, we are all human. We're all God's creation. That's
Right,
how I
right.
feel.
That's true. That's very true.
Okay, so yes, Gabriel has mentioned that you are a Christian. So do you think that like your struggles and your like when you face like struggles and problems, do you think the community you have found in like Christianity has it really like helped you overcome your challenges?
Yes, I do feel that they have helped me to overcome my challenges as well, and um they're also really supportive as well.
Right.
And normally um before some before exams, before sometimes like there was this one time before my end of years where we just gathered together and just prayed before one major exam as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
I would
And
s-
I
Sorry.
feel and there's this sort of sense of um camaraderie as well, knowing that we believe we believe in the same God as
Mm.
well, and and like it's like we have each other's backs as well.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree lah. I think for me personally also, I mean, religion also plays a pretty big part in my life, and
Mm.
it's very. I mean, I think you would agree with me when I say that, for both of us, religion really is a cornerstone of our life because it's a very big part of our identity, right? Uh,
Yeah.
And the thing is that I think especially in our school, because the Christian community and our school in particular it's really quite strong, which is quite amazing to see. Lah. I mean, it's not like we're gonna do a territorial takeover and whatnot, and then force everyone to become Christian. But it's really just the fact that for a lot of us who just happen to be Christian, we don't really, stay silent and say, "Oh, you're a Christian, that's it, okay, okay, you're a Christian." But I think for a handful of us, especially like in your cohort, we really go the way we really go the way to really ensure that each of us is taken like take care of lah. You know. Yeah. Okay, I tell you what, we have 1 minute 20 second left. We're gonna continue this. I'm gonna stop the recording. I'm gonna do a part two, then Jaden can clip it together later, can?
Yeah, can. Okay.
This is not gonna be fun for reals, one, I'm telling you.
I mean,
Alamak.
Alright, let's go. Okay, so earlier you mentioned we were talking about our faith earlier. I mean your personal convictions. We were talking about maybe your church community, right? But you know, other than maybe your church community that has kept you anchored, for maybe other people who have like special needs, but don't have these kind of communities around them, what do you think could be done for them?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't really know. That I mean, there can be a lot of things um which can be done for them, but I wouldn't really have a single idea about it. I
Right.
do not have a clue.
Yeah, I mean it's fair lah. I mean I give you a pretty heavy question. So it's true, I mean it's difficult lah. Yeah. Okay. Then maybe in the aspect, other than just faith, um, what do you think our school could do? Or maybe not just our school, maybe just in general, like just schools in general, like could do to help people with like special needs integrate, other than just care officers, having people who coincidentally have the same condition. But we all know that not every school is gonna have like a person who is suffering from visual impairment or a guy on crutches just like me. So the thing is, for schools that don't have these kind of people, right, the support, or maybe they just have their special care officers and that's about it. But what else could you think schools could do in that aspect?
I mean, they can do a lot of things as well, but I think one main idea um that could be involved with any ideas in regards to that could is patience, because they don't know, some of them may not understand certain things and stuff. Um, and yeah, I just feel that sometimes you need to give them patience to just allow them um to have time to think or understand stuff or like whatever is going on.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, like I understand like currently like not a lot of schools they may not be doing much in this aspect because like it's not like it's I won't say it's like very it's a bit of uncommon experience for a lot of schools. Because like students with like like disabilities if they don't have much experience in like in this like field, they will also not know what to do. So I think like yeah, the approach they take now is that they're trying to take steps, they're trying to learn from what they're doing, and like like yeah, try to make things better for these type of students. I think that's good on like most schools and like and like MOE as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah. But we also have to admit, like, curriculum is not exactly catered for people with disabilities. And stuff like- I mean, that's why a lot of people argue and say that, that's why we have SPED schools, right? Special person education, like something. So I
Yeah.
don't know what it stands for, I forgot. But but the thing is, a lot of people, I think, in SPED schools, or maybe people with disabilities, they just want a proper education. Because let's be honest here, a lot of these schools like for like special schools for people with special needs, right? They don't really give you many prospects, right? I mean, only a handful of them give you a PSLE education, you get into secondary school. But the thing is, but not many schools give you an O-level education from a special school. You get what I'm trying to say? So that the environment's not exactly there for, I want to say not there for them to thrive. But MOE is kind of like cutting, kind of like not giving people with like special needs, I would say, a true chance to like thrive lah. I mean, that's just me. Yeah.
Okay, maybe that actually brings up a good question I have for like both of y'all. So like since both y'all have had your conditions and things like so you especially like for Gabriel, since you mentioned that you were in what was the school again? Sorry.
C plus, yeah. Cerebral palsy
Yeah.
like
So like how's it like was there ever times like because of your condition you guys like the education like you felt like your like how's it you weren't like you felt like your options of like what you want to do uh like post like education was like very limited. They feel like very demoralizing to you or anyway.
No, no, I do not feel that there are like limitations at all. Yeah, it just feels very normal.
right.
Yeah,
Mm.
so it doesn't so like it doesn't really affect me at all.
Mm. I think
Or if
okay. Mm.
at all, then it'll
Yep.
be like very much. Yeah.
Uh, right. I mean, okay lah. I mean, to be completely frank as well, your your circumstance and my one is completely different, right?
Yeah.
I think for me in particular, maybe people with CP or like cerebral palsy, right? Because it's a physical condition, right? So there are things that, for me, I cannot like do, like, not say I cannot do, but more I find it very difficult to do. Sometimes,
Almost, yeah.
like, even now, I think like, even before I backtrack, like even now, there are specific courses in poly that I cannot do. For example, the more hands-on technical kind of courses, maybe say like uh film sound and video, which requires me to carry a lot of heavy stuff. I mean, could I do it? I kind of could, but the safety risk is there, you see. So the thing is
Yeah,
that,
the school don't get in trouble for it, so like
yeah,
I can't really blame them.
I get it. I mean, it's dangerous on both sides, for the student and maybe the school as well. So I mean, that's it. I think in terms of maybe say limitation, Jaden could agree with me in the sense that limitations wise it's not really there, but at the same time we both, I think we can both agree that sometimes being in a mainstream school is very mentally taxing, because I think maybe because we learn things slower, right? And then
Yeah.
so for a lot of people who, they have the whole Asian mindset, everything is just A1 for them. I can literally do my exam paper one eye closed, I can still get A1. But for people like me, or for maybe I wouldn't know about Jaden's case, but I think for people like me also, like, failure is very common because it takes me a very long time to grasp concepts. I think that's all it.
Yeah, understand. Mm. Okay. Gabriel, anything to add?
No. Wait, Jaden, do you face anything similar by any chance?
Sorry.
Do you face like, do you like have this like feeling like, okay, I learn things slower, I don't do as well as my other classmates, so therefore I feel a bit like demoralized.
No, but I do feel that sometimes it's just like really hard to like focus in in certain classes as well, for like certain subjects.
Right.
One of them being math as well. But like
You there.
yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes I just try to make learning fun for myself as well.
Well, how?
Like let's say like set up a bunch of quizzes related to that subject or that topic, and then I just do it myself, and then um yeah, it just helps me to um memorize certain things more. Just yeah,
I mean, of course, that's actually quite. Yeah, that's actually quite interesting. Yeah, yeah. Actually, that is very interesting. Yeah, it is very interesting the way to like handle your learning. I mean, I can personally say that I think I myself also go through the same thing. I wouldn't say it's like I think for you and I both, it's not like a direct correlation of our conditions or our disabilities, but rather because I think our conditions also kind of affect us both mentally to an extent. Like for my case, it's more I grasp things slower. I have the writing speed of a 5-year-old, which makes me which forces me to use a computer to type out my answers for like my humanities papers, stuff like that. So I mean, I wouldn't say it's learning disability for the both of us, but it's because our condition is like somewhat mental as well that
mm,
it causes us to learn things slower. I mean, that's just the truth,
Mm.
right? And I mean, of course, that's just my stance on it, lah. So it's about it, lor. Then,
mm,
hmm, which then brings me to another point, which is like our school, Bedok South, according to our principal, Mr. Koh, is the first school that has actually opened up a stall in partnership with SPD, right?
Oh yeah.
And mind you, it's not a first it's not like a first in 10 years or whatnot. It's like the first ever, So
yeah.
the thing is that I couldn't help but think Jin, what is your stance on it? I mean, this is open to the both of you, lah. Like, what's your take on this?
I think first of all, it's a really unique idea as well by SPD and the school as well, and yeah, it just seems to really pay off in a sense that like more people are like flocking to that store
Mhm.
just to try their stuff out. And I've seen a few instances where people actually try to learn sign language just to talk to one of the staff as well, which
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I
because she's
find very inspiring as well.
yeah,
Yeah, even I myself have learned a bit of sign language
right.
just to talk with her a bit.
Yeah.
Good. Well, for me
Overall,
personally, I think.
sorry,
Oh,
Right,
continue.
but overall, I think it's a good idea. I think other schools should really follow that path.
Oh, they are Bartley. I think if I'm not wrong, Bartley is one of those schools that was actually also considering implementing this idea for the
Ah,
yeah. So it is happening. It is happening.
ah.
Gina, what do you think?
But I think the main point is that.
Mm.
But I think what I'm also trying to say is that even like I think that even more schools should follow that down that path as well,
Right,
like
right.
on a larger scale.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, for me, I think yeah, it's a good idea because like I also think like especially at this age, like we are much more like impressionable and like how to say we are more easily influenced. So I think like like through like exposure to like people with like special needs like and like being able to like properly conversate and like how they see it like give them opportunities. I think is a step in the right track. I understand that like like how to say especially like for I'm guessing you guys like people with disabilities you guys want to there's like the feel of like wanting to like be included in more things and like given more opportunities
Yep.
to raise awareness on it. So I think that uh getting people comfortable with it, and like letting them, like, give them opportunities to shine and learn new things. I think that is yeah, I think it's a good thing on our schools and to do such, to like have such a program.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly, my thoughts on it are the same. Like, it's a good thing because, first of all, it gives us, the students, more choice in our food, like our vending options. Like, I mean,
Mm.
we have a freaking waffle store that sells fruit yogurt. I mean, come on, who's not gonna love that,
Yeah,
Plus,
it's
it's also
good.
the fact that we also have, like, uh we
Okay.
can also, like, there's also employment for, like, the staff there as well. It's like full-time
Yeah.
employment too, so that's great. You're creating jobs, you're feeding the people, and it's a win-win lah. I think that's what Mr. Koh himself also told me when I interviewed him that day, that it's a win-win for both parties, so why not? I
Hmm.
think
That's good.
in particular, that's about it lah. I mean, that's how I think the school should go, because by integrating people,
Yeah.
like, Jaden shared earlier as well, that by integrating more people, because our school is increasingly more diverse, by doing these things, like, maybe even for other schools, if they don't have people with disabilities, by having stalls in their schools, they they at least expose these people, like the people in their schools, that these people do exist, they are in our
Yeah.
society, and they still should be a part of our society. No, that's the main thing that I think that they are trying to drive at, which is really honestly amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
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 I mean, so Jinan, actually, another question also is more, hmm, I think one of the other questions I also want to ask is also, do you feel like our curriculum, no, not even our curriculum, no, okay, that's a bit too political already. Do you feel like our stance on maybe people with special needs and disabilities has changed over the years?
Yeah, I think it's changed quite a lot over the years. I mean, um, you could say it's almost like, I mean, I'm pretty sure back in the day, people used to think that some people used to think that people with special needs were like just abnormal,
Right.
like pretty alien like. Um,
Mhm.
but nowadays it's just completely different. Now, like, people are more um what's the word for it? But people are like more accepting of them.
Right, right.
Like now there's even more integration into community.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's just a good thing. And I hope to see more of that over the years as well.
Mm.
definitely. I feel that is the case, lah. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I think our school has really set a really good model for this kind of integration to take place. It's
Yeah.
going to take a long time, but at least it's happening, lah. That's my personal take on it,
Like small
right?
steps. Yeah.
Small steps. And I mean, that's just how I view it, lah. It's not it's not gonna change overnight, but at least it's changing slowly,
Mm.
right? I mean, of course, let's say lah, but it's it's gonna take a while. That's all I can say. It's gonna be difficult, but it's gonna surely come. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Let me think. All right. Oh, by the way, all these segments are with, like, dead time. You can just cut it out, no problem. You don't need to give them the raw footage of this. Just
Hey,
throw
bro,
it.
can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
How's your faith like impacted your life? You like in your life, and like also your way of living as well.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I'm
Ooh.
sorry, is that too deep?
No, no,
No,
no.
that's good.
It
Good
just
question. Good
it
question.
just winded me out again. I mean, sure, I can answer that. I think for me, like you, faith is really definitely a big part of my community. My community is actually not centralized in school. It's more centralized in my church. My church, All Saints, which is in Anglican High, I've been given opportunity to work with people there. I've been given, the opportunity to like really, not just learn the culture of just Bedok South, but also the culture of Anglican High, because I've interacted with so many of them over the years. But the thing is that back to your question about faith, it's definitely something that has impacted me in the aspects of not just spiritually, but I think more also like emotionally. Because I think as a Christian, one of the core beliefs is, to really like love your brothers and sisters in Christ, but not just your brothers and sisters, but also for those who have wronged you, you forgive them, even though they have sinned against you and whatnot. So I think, of course, being a Christian, it's taught me the one very important lesson, which is just to really take things slow, not be angry at myself, but to really just give thanks to God that, things could be much worse for like me, right? I could be like wheelchair, but I could be like I could literally be a vegetable or someone or anything like that. It's so many things that are much worse that have impacted other people can happen to me, what? But the thing is, it hasn't happened to me. At least, to a degree. I still have a sense of physical normalcy, although I use crutches. I still have a sense of mental. I still have my mental faculties intact, lah. I think for the most part, which is the most important thing, which is to know that at least I'm given the gift of being able to express myself without any restrictions for the most part. So I think I'm always thankful that you know, God could have made it much worse for me. But through through his grace, I'm not like dealt worse off lah. At least I'm given that kind of the gift of being able to think and being able to express myself, which is a genuine gift lah.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
think for me, um, especially growing up in Sunday school, it was like, I don't know, like even though I grew up in Sunday school, it was like just like at first I didn't really have that faith yet, and especially when I started out in secondary school, I was desperately trying to seek popularity, seek attention,
Right.
and stuff. So I would do like certain things that other people would do as well, and it really took a toll on some people, and that's the part that I regret doing myself.
Right, right.
And one day, and then there's this one day where I really feel tugging in my heart, and it made me wonder: is this how I want to live my life?
Mm.
And am I going to live for Him, for God, or for the world? And after that time of reflection, I just started to like change, um, and change my way of living, and just also like um, yeah, just basically do a lot of things. It's almost like a complete transformation.
Mhm.
Um, if that's how I'm gonna describe it with simply one phrase.
Yep.
And yeah,
I mean,
it I feel that now um now even though I may not be as popular among um my fellow friends
right.
or other other people in school, I feel that at the end of the day, it's not about popularity. You don't bring your popularity up with you
Mhm.
into heaven. No, that's not it.
Right.
Um, at at the end of the day, it's about faith. It's about
Mhm.
who, and it's also about how you live your life. Like if you put your faith in Him,
Yep.
then you can't just live like however you want to live. You've got to live for him and just live a life that pleases him, that glorifies his name.
Right, right. I
Mm.
think that's very true as well.
Yeah.
Actually, what about you, Jaden? What about you? Actually, I never asked this question as well. Do you
Yeah,
ever
that I
do anything like that
sorry.
as well?
Sorry?
No, no. Wait, Jaden, do you have any? Wait, do you?
We-
Are you religious actually?
Hmm?
Do
I
I
never
what?
asked. Are you religious?
No, I am free thinker. I know. Yes.
Oh,
So,
Yeah, so like, but is the idea of like religion has always been like, I mean, I wouldn't say I am against it. I'm just trying to, it's like I don't know what exactly I want to commit to. So like hearing you guys like talk about how religion has really like impacted y'all is like is yeah, I think like is shines is like is good. Like you like I understand like religion it's like it becomes a like it gives you the moral compass, like
yeah,
your
the
values, what you want to live by. Yeah, I think
right.
like religion is like yeah, it's a good thing. I'm not against it or anything. It's just yeah, I'm trying to find which one best suits me.
Okay, I mean, at least you're open to it, lah. I
Mhm.
think that's very important. I think for like people who aren't even religious, or like people who are religious and aren't religious, it doesn't really matter if you are or not. Because to me, the mindset is just very simple. You're human. You're human. You're not anything different, right? We're not segregating you based on if you're a religious person or not, right? And the truth
Mm.
is, I mean, since we're talking about this now, uh, I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be ostracized at all because everybody has their own personal beliefs, right? For example, Jade and I believe in Christianity. Some other people believe in something else. So, they're free thinking. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, what matters is that we as humans should coexist. And that I think
Yes.
brings me back to the core point, which is let's go. I mean, that brings me back to the core point, which is, like for you and I, like Jaden, we are people, that have been dealt like quote unquote worse cards compared to like the rest of society, which is like able-bodied, don't suffer from these conditions. They are perfectly normal, as most people would say, right? But of course, in that sense, we've struggled a lot. We've had to adapt to a lot of societal norms that maybe to us not comfortable. I think for you especially, like with your autism, sometimes there's certain things that I can understand, you're not comfortable with. The other people, fine, totally like normal, right? And that of course is also showing that we have a community, what? Like for the both of us, uh, it's our church communities. But or maybe for like my co-host Jaden's community, it would be like his band. It would be like, his band, his other commitments externally. These are different forms of community, and that's why I feel like this whole thing, this whole podcast it's here as a way for us to bridge differences between these communities so that everybody can come together and everybody is more aware of the struggles in society. Not just the struggles in society, it's also like, the more obscure topics in society. For example, we're planning to like cover or like tackle the art scene in Singapore the next few episodes. And it's things like that, to us make us want to do this because we want to be a platform to push this out to the rest of Singapore, hopefully, so that we can really tell the Singaporean society that, hey, these kind of people exist, these kinds of things exist, so we should try to raise more attention for it lah. So with that in mind, in closing, I just want to thank you, Jaden, for being our first guest. Really, I think it was really fun to really talk to you about all these things. So I hope that we could get you back on board sometime soon. Hopefully not like too far off in the future, lah, but I'm very grateful that you've really volunteered your time to come down and talk to us despite our rookiness at this. despite our rust. So we really thank you for everything, man. Hope that we were pretty decent hosts. We hope that everybody watching, had a good time, learn maybe a bit more about the struggles of autism and whatnot. Maybe you guys took something else different, but that's the thing. It depends on what you take, but we just hope that you guys were entertained and that you will continue to support us with future episodes with more guests. Thank you very much. All right.
Alright.